Welcome to another edition of the None of Your Business podcast. My name is Dr. Shawn Dill. Normally, I'm joined by my wife, Dr. Lacey Book, but today I am just introing you to a really good friend of mine, Connor Blakley, Generation Z marketing expert. He's made his mark in so many different businesses, helped so many people to craft a marketing plan, marketing strategy, marketing pitches to impact and reach that next generation that's acquiring more and more buying power. Look, these strategies, I personally feel, don't apply just to Generation Z. If you are looking to beef up your marketing, to hone your message, reach more people, you're going to find tremendous value in this discussion that you are about to see with none other than Connor Blakley.
Connor Blakley.
Connor Blakley is here, and he's not driving.
You get to hear all the gold bars he was dropping before.
Yeah.
But you get to hear him this time.
What's up, Connor?
How's it going? Yeah. No more technical difficulties this time.
That's right.
Great to have you. Great to have you. I know that we just kind of spoke a couple days ago, but I want to go back through because we had sort of the sketchy connection, and there were things that I wanted.
Fuck Sprint, honestly.
I know what you were covering, but based off of that, can we reel it back to we got a little bit of your backstory? Can we reel it back to high school and how you did not complete high school and why?
Yeah, so I started my first company when I was 14, so I was always kind of balancing school and my personal life and things like that. And then it got to a point kind of sophomore year where I had to pick, do I want to play varsity sports and continue playing basketball and football and keep baseball, what I wanted to do. And I decided that I would keep baseball because I thought I was going to go to the MLB out of high school and then not play basketball or football. So I stopped those two, kept playing baseball. Then I had to quit baseball just because the business stuff was too much. I was traveling. My grades, my cumulative GPA was a 1.62. And then a week into my senior year, I get a call from the CEO of Sprint who's saying, hey, come in and meet with me on Monday. Unfortunately, my school had said, you can't miss a day for business. You can't travel at all for business. I lied to my school, said I was sick. They found out I was in Kansas City to meet with Marcelo, and I got kicked out of high school and didn't go back or get my degree. And the rest is history. And I just, from that moment on, it felt like a ton of bricks got off my shoulders, and I could really focus on doing what I love and helping people and just doing all that kinds of stuff. So I like to say it was one of the best days of my life.
So what was the business? What business were you doing that?
Yeah, so at the time, the main business was helping some of the biggest companies in the world better connect with and understand young people. So we helped, whether it was developing a product line coinciding with Johnson & Johnson called CNC by Clean & Clear aimed at Gen Z, whether it was helping PepsiCo create Bubbly, or just totally trying to reimagine young women in the NFL. Not in the NFL, but getting younger women as more fans and more engaged. We would go and kind of help companies solve problems on how to better connect with and engage young people, whether it was through influencers, products, marketing, social media, all that kinds of stuff.
So for a lot of our listeners out there, what would you say right now is young people? Like, what demographic is that?
Yeah. Young people, I like to say, I classify like young, kind of Gen Z under 23. I like to say under 23. And the reason I say under 23 is because if you're under 23, odds are is you 9/11 is like a shadow to you. And you were young enough to where the financial crash of 2008 psychologically impacted you in a meaningful enough way. Because the years of psychological development in a kid's life are roughly, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know for sure, but I read it was like 9 to 16. So a large chunk of Gen Z in their meaningful years were 9 to 16 on the older end during that time. So especially, I think it's being highlighted during this time and how stressed Gen Z are. All my friends who had college internships lined up, like my best friend Ian, he had an internship lined up in Columbus for like $19 an hour. They were paying for his apartment, paying for all this stuff, and it got totally wiped, and he's pissed. So a lot of these natures that were developed back then are really coming to fruition today, and it's interesting to watch everything go down.
You know what, Connor? I was thinking back to the first time I ever met you, and you were sitting next to Abraham, and you started talking about this concept, and it just blew my mind because you were saying that the younger generation is so misunderstood, that we always say, oh, they don't want to learn anything, they're lazy, they're not motivated.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, kind of like it wasn't that they don't want to do it, it's just that they do it differently and consume differently, and that blew my mind and really shifted my perspective. Can you elaborate on that, because I think that's a great concept?
Yeah, and I actually think that at one point it was a concept for just young people, and now it's a concept for I think Ryan Holmes from Hootsuite calls it consumer C, and it's consumer connected. So we're all kind of driving towards consumer C. And being that way, it was just that the years of technological adoption kind of started with young people, and then it aged up. So for instance, Facebook used to be just college kids and young kids, and now everyone over the age for it's like primarily an older one, right? Instagram, same thing. Snapchat, same thing. So I like to say the same way we can look at platforms, we can actually look at habits. One second. Could you just please drop in front of the door? Sorry, I was ordering. That's my lunch. But yeah, I like to say the same way that we see platforms age up, we're also seeing technological habits and advances. And I think it's interesting because what was that, Lacey? That was like a year ago that I said that. And now I think it's even more apparent because a lot of the older generations are actually hopping on Instagram. So I think when that barrier is broken and we're full driven consumer C, and I think how VR and AR will kind of convolute and like play into that will also make it, because VR and AR aren't a thing that like young people do, then it will actually be older people and then younger people, because it's so expensive and the barrier to entry is so much higher. So I think that more so we're all developing the same habits now, so it's less of how it was then, but it'll even become more apparent and more of a all at once, like that'll just be shoved in our face now. So I don't know, the second that like, because if you look at how, like, so for instance, my dad's company sells to older, like baby boomers, right? Like like America's oldest generation. That population is now like the largest segment. I believe like that so many more people are getting older during that time. So I think that when that generation can start to like really adapt to technology and like really do it that way, I think it'll be really interesting to see how we can all do it, because this whole movement, this coronavirus thing, like Zoom, like my grandma's on Zoom, like it's like all these little cultural things happen that just kind of like push the pendulum a little bit more forward, and it's fun to watch. I'm not going to act like I know exactly what's going to happen, but I can tell you that I believe that VR and AR is when it'll happen all at once, but all these little cultural pendulum shifts are just bringing us closer together and more connected and more connected and more connected. And people keep saying the world will never be the same after this corona thing. I don't know if I buy it. However, what is more prevalent is like how we can hop on a Zoom call or do something like this rather than just text or FaceTime things. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's bringing the world together in a more powerful way. And I think it'll be net positive for young people and older people as well.
One thing that, I mean, just to clarify, because we're going to ask you, you're already giving some awesome advice and drinking your White Claw at the same time.
People are loving the White Claw.
It get any better than that.
Can I be honest? I forgot to go to the store and I ran out of water. So the only thing I had was like beer White Claw. And like the beer I have is like IPA. So like, I'm going to be honest, I'd probably be drunk on this live if I drank beer. So I was like, I'm just going to.
The best choice.
Yes, exactly. Responsible. I'm drinking responsibly.
Choice.
And to be honest, for everybody watching, the very first time that we met Connor, it took me about an hour, and I was like, Connor, you are Tristan. Tristan is you, but like in 20 years.
That is so scary. Don't say that, Shawn. No, I'm kidding. I love Tristan.
Okay, so because we're asking your advice, one, I want to super clarify. Obviously, you're extremely intelligent, but one thing that's unique about you is that you don't necessarily hold all of the same viewpoints, politics of every other person stereotypically your age, correct?
Yeah, I would say so, but I also think that that's manufactured a lot, right? Like, for instance, you're raised in a household, at least most households, at least in the Midwest, it's like, all right, you don't talk to other people outside of your family about money, politics, sex, or religion. Now, I was raised that way. Very early on, my parents figured out when I was like 12 that I wasn't going to not talk to anyone about what I thought was interesting. So I just have never really cared about not talking about certain things to certain people. But if you're talking about politics, which is what I think you were hinting at, it's like I don't even look at it as politics anymore. I look at it as like right and wrong. Like it's so fucking obvious that like I really don't understand with all the information out there how people can be so like actually stupid. Like you're stupid. Like it's all out there. You have to go read it. So I mean, there's a story of when I was when my family was going on vacation. I was like 9, and we were in Louisiana, like on a connecting flight, and our flight got delayed in the airport, and my family was eating lunch, and there was like this like Southern black family of like six or seven people all playing cards in the airport. Now, like I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, like I'd never even seen a black person before, right? So I'm like 9 years old. I literally didn't care. I walked right up to the table and sat down with this whole family and played cards with them when I was 9, and they loved me. So like I've just always kind of been like that, and it's a little weird and it's a little abnormal, but like it's just kind of how I've always been. And obviously people disagree with me all the time. That's totally fine. But I and this is also, Shawn, when we were texting last night, I was thinking about it because you said Molly Bloom. You were like, we're talking about people that I can help get on lives and be a resource for the community who are like Molly Bloom. So automatically I'm like, oh my God. So I went and I checked all my mutual friends with her. I had like 8 mutual friends with her on social media and stuff. And then I texted my buddy and I was like, as a joke, I'm like, hey, can you get me a date with Molly Bloom? And he was like, ha ha ha, and then sent me a GIF. I was like, no, I'm serious. And then he replied and was like, if you're being serious, I'll do it. She's engaged, but she would think you're funny. So it's like, it's so weird how like I've come up like only in entrepreneurship, but now I'm expanding my reach in influencer world, entertainment, all these different things. And at the end of the day, it's not because I know it'll bring value to other people, even though it does. And it's not because I like the clout, whatever. It's just because it's fucking interesting. And there's so many different people in so many different ways. Like Jay Abraham told me this when I was freaking like 15. He was like, in the elevator, I always face forward and like face the people, like in my back to the exit of the elevator. Oh my God, my people think I'm crazy, like my age, for just like doing stuff like that. And I think that as much as technology has brought us together and and as amazing it is, it's like that Jay Abraham level of curiosity and kind of looking at the world as a little kid, the naiveness and the how jaded that you can actually be, I think is actually beautiful, and I think it's been lost. And I think regardless of where you stand on really anything, I think it's important to just look at the world like a little kid. It's literally a big fucking playground. Like it doesn't matter. If you lose everything, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I'm just not really attached to any of the normal stuff. Sorry, because you kind of went on a rant.
No, that's totally fine. So knowing that, what I wanted to get to is let's go here first. So for anybody in Black Diamond Club, and you've been in Black Diamond Club, seen the live, seen the content, know.
I actually watch it like sometimes too. Like I know, like it's not just applicable to chiropractors. Like I watch it. Like I actually get a lot from it. I really enjoy it.
So what would you say to our members relative to young people, to the younger generation? Because a lot of them think like, oh, they're weird, or they don't have money, or like that's a huge untapped market. Would you agree that's a huge untapped market, and how do they tap into it?
So I think it's the most, for your guys' industry, it's one of the most out of tap markets, and here's why. Because if you look at the trends and of all the cultural pillars that I have, two of the cultural pillars, one of them is activity, and I can dive into that. But the more interesting one is actually holistic health and wellness, right? And when I say holistic health and wellness, I'm talking about mental health is like such a big topic, things like that, being active, doing yoga, like reading, like all of these things are kind of encompassing, and at the center point of kind of all of it is actually chiropractors, like all of it. Like, so for me, I'm looking at ways that I can integrate my practice into the lifestyle of young people, whether you're an athlete in high school, whether you're just a normal person, whether you have a regular job, kind of making those distinctions and drawing from the distribution stuff that we talked a little bit about last time. I think it's massively undertapped. And I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't even know, like before I met you, I didn't even know, right? So a lot of it's like knowledge stuff too. Like it isn't something, at least like where I'm from, where like that you go, like where you're a young person, you even go. So I think a lot of it is about creating like the actual awareness for like the benefits of it. Like there's a big knowledge gap that you're going to have to cross that bridge if you really want to tap into young people market share. There's an example of this famous psychologist and culture guy, Clotai Rappetil. He's from Europe. The Chinese, a very long time ago, I believe it was Maxwell Coffee. It was one of these really massive coffee companies. Chinese people were not drinking coffee. Like they just weren't. And they were like, we want to get coffee into Chinese culture. We have no idea how. Because they drink tea, right? That's like their drink of choice. So what they figured out and what they did to conquer and break into the market in China was they got coffee flavored candy, and they gave it for free to little kids all across China. It cost them millions of dollars. When that age group hit 22 to 25 years old and they were going into the workforce, they introduced coffee, the drink that was the flavor of the candy that actually had added benefits to them. And all of a sudden, coffee started breaking into the tea market in China, and now coffee is massive in China 50 years later. That is a very like high level big example of this. But if you're really playing the game and you're playing to win, creating those habits and crossing that bridge with these people now, you're going to have the entire culture in like 5 to 10 years.
So to extrapolate on that kind of concept, right now, too, especially with the coronavirus, obviously your generation and the younger
It's the Wuhan virus. It's the Wuhan virus.
Why is it the Wuhan virus?
Yeah, why is it the China virus?
Why is it the China virus?
It's the Kung flu because it was started in the lab that they use where they go through all the pathogens in Wuhan. This is, I could go on for an hour about exactly what's going on here, but we need to start, like, think about it, right? We had the Hong Kong flu, we had the bird flu, we had all these things, and you look back at it and you're like, holy shit, they all fucking came from China. There's been like all of the last pandemics other than the Spanish flu, SARS, right? SARS came from it. It's like they all come from there. So why are we pretending like this is some happy-go-lucky thing? Like it's the fucking Wuhan virus. I can't. With that, we need to start talking about it.
Don't worry, we know. We could talk about that offline. Sean and you can have some White Claw and go.
No, we need to drink Shank-Dillies. But anyway, I'm sorry.
The Wuhan virus. Everybody's excited about that comment. Okay, so let's moving forward. What the Wuhan virus, you said, is obviously impacted the younger generation. So how do we, taking that, pivot slightly or adapt to be able to market to them now? Like, what can we be doing to reach them?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what's really cool is because everyone's at home and most people aren't doing shit, like my friend who doesn't do shit filed for unemployment, she just got a check for $1,200. Like, because her dad didn't claim her. Like, like all these kids are doing nothing and just getting $1,200. Like, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, they're all online. They're all sitting at home. They're all watching Netflix. No one's doing shit. So what I would do is I would go into the geo-local tools. Now, if you have someone that works for you that can do this, great. It's very easy to do yourself. My mom, who can't see shit and is the least technological person on the planet, would be able to do this. You go into Twitter, you hit Twitter search, and then you look up local. It lets you figure out what people are talking about local within like 200 miles or 100 miles of you. And you go in and you see what people are talking about activity. I went on a hike. I did this. I've been riding my bike. I've been doing this. And just jump in and talk to them. Like, make them aware. Like, go where they're at instead of saying, hey, come where we are. And I think once you engage in that conversation, that's where you can start to slide in like, hey, this might be something that could benefit you. Instagram lets you do the same exact thing. Wait, can you not hear me?
You're talking about.
Oh, wait, there you go.
Okay. You're talking about Twitter. Your generation, the younger generation, are they doing a lot on Twitter? Because that's
Yes.
one thing I don't use.
Yeah, so Twitter is the most underrated, underused social media platform, like, period. I think that everyone should spend like 10 times as much time on Twitter as they do. And if you're not spending any, then 100 times more. Like, obviously, like, Instagram's great. Instagram's a highlight reel. People on Instagram, there's a difference between mirroring and consuming, right? Mirroring is like, it's like a vanity. It's like fake. Like, so mirroring is like, I scroll through Instagram, there's no depth, there's no substance, there's no way to articulate most things on Instagram that are just a picture. Because here's what people are fucking posting. They're posting ass pics, abs pics, selfies, motivational quotes, or like a picture of like Shawn on a golf course, right? So they're only posting stuff like that. There's not a whole lot of storytelling, depth, perspective, or conversation that can come from that. All someone can comment on something like that is cool, that's awesome. There's not a lot of people who post on Instagram are replying to all of their comments, right? It's not cool to do that. So Twitter is where people are actually telling you exactly how they feel, what they're doing, what their opinion is, what their views are. There's nothing that people like more than talking about themselves. So why would that not be the place where we can jump in and actually build a relationship and have an impact? I know I randomly thought of the local news anchors idea for local influencer marketing last time, but like, if you think about it, who has the most clout on Twitter online and any city in the world? It's fucking your local news anchor, because they're the epicenter. That's where everyone's getting their information, right? So Twitter is extremely, extremely powerful. And I think the only reason that we should use it is not to put out, not to get, but literally just to like talk. It's awesome. I mean, if you guys go on my Twitter, which I think a few of you actually followed me, it's Blakley Connor, and you'll see like I'm not really like saying much of anything. Like, I think the last thing I tweeted was more people have lost their jobs than have contracted the coronavirus. But other than that, like, I just reply to people. I mean, the coronavirus, the Wuhan virus is a big topic that I'm jumping in and engaging with people about. I'm very pissed off at all of the sports leagues. So I'm going and like talking to my friends about that. Like, and then here's what's crazy is when you go on Twitter and you're having these conversations, you could take it to direct message. So on Instagram, you have to go to direct message first when you have no context for anything. You're getting as much context as a cold email. When you're on Twitter, it's all your information. If you were on live last time, you heard me talk about the McKay 66, where you can go in and fill out all of these things about people and get as much information as you can. Twitter literally gives you 60 of the 66 answers if you just scroll and look at what people say. People are absolutely unfiltered there, and it's awesome. Wait, I can't hear.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
James keeps muting us.
James keeps muting us. Tell us, for those that missed the last live or when it sketched out, tell us the story about Brew Beer, because we're gonna leverage off of Brew, talk about some of your strategies there.
Yeah. So I'm only 20. all my best friends are in a lot of the top fraternities around the country. I've been blessed to be able to speak a lot of the schools, just travel around. And I go to all these parties, and I'm in my apartment right now in Cleveland. It's on the water. So all my friends still live with their parents. So they'll come over. I'll have like 100 people at my apartment. It'll be crazy. People only bring the same 2 fucking beers. They bring Natty Light, which tastes like piss water and it tastes like shit, except for Natter Days, the lemonade kind in the summer. Or they'll bring Bud Light, which is fine. It's normal. It's a little overpriced, but it's still like, but it's just Bud Light. So, and the alcohol content's only 5%. So I was like, hey, there needs to be a beer that's centric around young people, that doesn't taste like shit, is priced effectively, and gets the job done quicker. People aren't, like, they're drinking beer to get drunk. Like they're also drinking vodka to get drunk, but I mean, mostly like they can't afford any of that stuff and they don't want a shitty hangover. So they'll just drink a bunch of natties to get drunk. So our alcohol content per can on Brew is 6.9%. And yes, the 69 is 100% intentional. And our plan is we're going to go out and we're going to dominate and we're going to sell 30,000 cases in the first month. And Anheuser-Busch is going to call me, and then they're going to try to buy a part of the company, and I'm going to say no, and then we're going to keep doing it, and then we're going to sell it for a lot of money. So, like, I'll go into just one of the strategies we're using. So we're trying to sell 30,000 cases in Ohio. By the way, you can take this for what you will, but it probably doesn't apply to most of you. Like, what do college kids and fraternities love more than, like, anything, right? Other than drinking, they love sports, they love music, and they love porn. So we have Lana Rhoades and Riley Reid, who are the number 1 and 2 porn stars in the entire world. We have Meek Mill, and we have Morgan Wallen, and we're trying to get Robert Gronkowski on the sports side. So we'll see how that goes. But what I was talking to all the president fraternities and the people on my team and I said, hey, if you guys buy 2,500 cases as a campus, then I'm going to bring a bunch of porn stars and Meek Mill to come to your fraternity parties, and we're going to have a great time, right? And we made those influencers partners, so we're not even shelling out cash. They're just going to come and do it. And by the way, Meek Mill loves to have a good time. Porn stars love attention from young college kids. It's a great thing, and it's going to be hilarious, and it's going to be a good time. And if you look at it, all of the 6 schools we're going to, that's 25,000 cases right there. That's not including liquor stores, gas stations, and other stuff. So that's how we're attacking the local markets and things like that. And also, there's nothing more than a local market loves more than a big person or someone who feels like they're untouchable, right? Like Lana Rhoades, all these people are like, oh my gosh, I only see them on my phone. I only see them in the ether. Like, for instance, right, like you guys are in Indiana, Mark Cuban. So, I mean, I've known Mark since I was like 14, 15. It's like, and he was one of the first people ever replied to me and who started giving me advice and was talking to me. When I told my dad that, and then people started finding out, everyone's mind was like, oh my God, like Mark Cuban. And it blows my mind that everyone believes all of these things and how they're so unreachable. And it's that 1% of people that believe in themselves and actually go out and just hit someone up and like try to make it happen that's where something special really happens. Well, you never know like what influencer, what celebrity is actually from your hometown. Like I can rattle off 4 people who are famous as fuck from Omaha, Nebraska. Like that's so random. Like no one remembers that they're from Omaha, right? They don't even have to be super mega famous. They could just be someone like, be like, oh, like highlight them. They're from here. And then if you're already talking to the news anchors and doing this shit on Twitter, then people are going to pay attention. Then you're going to get press out of it. Then you're going to get coverage. Then it's just like it's a snowball effect when you just have that kind of like I guess just self-belief and wherewithal and just figure out strategically what you want to do.
It's such a unique view to believe that people aren't untouchable. Like I love that. And because I think a lot of people even look at influencers that are in the same town. Like I follow a lot of like people that are all about fashion and they're big influencers with, large followings and they probably live around the corner from me. And I'm always like, why would they respond to me? So what is like your easiest tip or strategy to reach out to an influencer that's not obnoxious?
Yeah, so here's what I say. This is kind of controversial. I've gotten in trouble for saying this before. stop sucking everyone's dick. Like, that's literally what I say. Like, everyone just fucking comments under people's stuff, and they're like, oh my God, you're so cool, you're so amazing, happy Easter, happy birthday, you're awesome. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's great. People love attention. Do you want to know who gets more attention than anyone on all these fucking famous people? They get enough of that. They don't care. No one, like, they don't like that. What they like is someone who can be straightforward, someone who's clear, someone who fucks with them, someone who's funny, someone who doesn't care that they're famous, but like just looks at them as a person and thinks it's funny. Like, I told this one kid, here's a funny story. This kid named Ely Magic. He's a magician in Cleveland. He's like 20. Now, I host this party every year because Machine Gun Kelly, the Paul brothers, Pete, everyone who's famous from Cleveland always comes back to Cleveland around Christmas time, and then I'll have this party, right? And at the party, it's literally a bunch of famous athletes, influencers, musicians, like all these random people. And then I just invite all of my best friends from my childhood and a bunch of hot girls who are like 21, right? So this kid, Ely Magic, is a big magician. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. And he kept saying, dude, I want to get Logan Paul to fuck with me. I want to get Logan Paul to fuck with me. What do I do? So I said, all right, whatever. Go up, do a magic trick, right? So went up to Logan, Jake, did a magic trick, got a video of it. It actually kind of like, it was a good trick. They were like, yo, that's dope, whatever. Logan followed him on Instagram after the trick and was like, oh, that was cool, just like a quick follow. Ely would message him all the time, and he would tell me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm messaging him. And I'm like, show me the messages. And it's literally just the DMs are like, dude, saw your post. That's so cool, man. Like, you, like, really cool shot here. Like, happy birthday, broski. Happy Easter. I'm like, what are you saying? Like, make fun of him. Like, do something. Like, humanize him. I feel like we look at these people like they're untouchable, and it's like one of the first reasons that I actually became friends with Jake is when I was 15 and he was 17 or 18. We were in LA and he just moved into like the really big house. And we were walking in a Whole Foods. Now, Jake isn't this person anymore, but imagine you have 10 mil and you're doing 40 mil a year and you're like 18 and you're like the most famous person on the planet. We're walking in Whole Foods and we walk out of the store just picking up some stuff. And we were in his GTR racing Lamborghinis in West Hollywood at like 2 a.m. And we come out of the store and there's a homeless guy. And the homeless guy says, can I have he said, do you have $1? And Jake said, yeah, a couple million, and started laughing. And I looked at him and I go, what the fuck? I said, what are you doing? Like what? Like, why? Like, why would you do that? Like, this guy's like a homeless dude. Like, don't say that. And then we went back into the store and bought the guy a shit ton of groceries, and then I made Jake take out money and give it to him, right? It's like you do, and that was 4, 5, 6 years. I don't even know how long that was. So my point is, like, it's really easy to like go up and take the selfie. It's really easy to go and like be like, you're amazing. But like what cuts through is just like being an actual person. Like, personally, I wouldn't hang out with anyone unless I could see myself like actually having a drink with them. I wouldn't do business with anyone I wouldn't have a drink with. I wouldn't hang out like just because someone's famous, just because they're cool, whatever. It's like if they weren't famous and I wouldn't hang out with them, like normally if they weren't famous, then I wouldn't do it. So I just think that people should have the same standards in all of this stuff that they do in their personal life as well. Because if you're a different person at work than you are at home, odds are is one of those is suffering.
Yeah.
Well, let's just be clear. Connor's been to our house and drank St. Dilly's here. Right.
Yeah, no, it's all the same here. And that's why I'm excited to do stuff like this. We like hang out. Like, that's why I like talking to you guys. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, there's a lot of people who are in this entrepreneurship space who are just like stupid assholes. And I'm not saying I'm a smart, not an asshole, because I have my moments, but like, I just like, you can tell someone's soul, right? Like, I really believe that. And I wouldn't lower or heighten my standards for anyone based on like who they are to the public, because odds are if most people found out who these people actually were, they'd be like, oh my God, like, ew.
Mm-hmm. I love the idea of humanizing people. That's super powerful.
So lay it down for us. let's just take a chiropractor in Portland, Oregon. There are some local Portland, Oregon influencers. So let's say the news anchor, let's say there's a couple fashion, yoga, maybe outdoors influencers.
Students at is Oregon State in Portland? What's the college in Portland? Is there one?
Oregon.
It's Oregon, right?
Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good example. Find some football players on the football team. They've got a lot of followers on Instagram, probably a lot of students from there. I mean, that's what I look at. Like, I mean, let's use, because I don't know shit about Portland, let's use Columbus, Ohio as an example, right?
Sure.
If you're a chiropractor in Columbus, Ohio, which my friend Scott Gray is, then that means you have all the students, you have Ohio State, that means you have all the football players, that you have all the restaurants, you have all the clubs. If I'm doing that, I literally just go and hit up football players. Because who follows all the football players? Everyone. Like, they're all fucking like, they've got like 40 to 50,000 followers. It doesn't take like millions of followers. It doesn't take hundreds of thousands of followers. Like, how much would it change your business as a chiropractor if you got 40 new people in a month? I think that'd be a lot, right? Now, when you look at it and someone has 50,000 followers, let's say this Ohio State football player has 50,000 followers, and his engagement rate's like 30% because he's a football player, he's on campus, verified, doing the whole thing, and he brings you 8 new people because you brought him in for free and made him post an Instagram video every new time. That ROI is crazy. So it's a combination of going and doing the homework and actually bringing the people in and being like, hey, I want to give you a free chiropractic thing, whatever that is, and then a quick little video, and then them and be like, oh, the only thing we're going to ask you is like to put it on your Instagram story. Not an Instagram post, because an Instagram post, they're going to be like, don't know, but just be like, oh, put it on your story. They have 50,000 followers. They probably get like 10,000 views a story. That odds are, and if they say something, you're going to get a few people at least follow you, at least check you out. So the ROI on time for that is so massive. And then you bring in those 2 people, word of mouth, they bring their friend, that's three times. Like, it's just like, it all compounds when you start to do it like just a few times. This isn't something that you're going to do twice and be like, oh, 40 new people, like, this is awesome. It's something that you have to do and trickle down over the course of 6 months, and then you'll really start to see results. And you're doing that in parallel with the stuff that Dennis is talking about and the other stuff. This is one piece of the puzzle. This isn't the whole pie. This is probably like 30% of it. This is probably like 30% of it. So, I mean, what Dennis does, and then, by the way, you take the video that they posted on Instagram, you screen record it, and then you run Facebook ads to it using exactly what Dennis is talking about. This content is all repurposable. So, yeah.
All right. I love that. Love that. What about content? So we've talked about this. I've heard you talk about it. So we have the Dennis U strategy, and we're doing these videos. What advice do you have for our members as far as what kind of content they should be creating? Because I also know that from your space, your circle of friends, other influencers, there are some things to not do. So can you share what we should do, but also give us the hey, and don't do this.
Yeah. I would number one, just don't be anything you're not. Like, my dad, when he's around my friends, like, loves to play like the cool, fun dad, and like just makes a bunch of shitty jokes that are like funny because he's trying to be funny, not because they're actually funny. And like, it's corny and like whatever. Don't do that. Like, don't try to be like the cool, fun hit. If you are, then ride with it, but only talk about shit that's actually interesting to you. Is one of the things that Dennis talked about. The why? What did he say in his thing? I'm gonna be honest. I don't run Facebook ads. I used to when that was like my first company. I'm so out of that world. But did he say for the first video, like a why video, like, hey, like can you explain what he said really first? Because I didn't hop in that one.
Basically like a scroll stopper. Like, let's just show insights into your life that other people would find interesting.
Who you are, like what you like to do. Shawn on the golf course.
Yes. So to be honest with you, I think what Shawn should do is when he's on the golf course, or fuck it, when he's in his basement drinking a shake, smoking a cigar, there's nothing like if you're smoking a cigar in the video and you're like, hey, listen, someone's going to be like, oh, and then watch it, you know? So try to find those stop moments that are like actually interesting. Like, I don't know, like personally, like Shawn on a golf course, he does that with a cigar and then it's like a thing. Like it brings people home because you see most stuff in Facebook ads right now. It's in a backdrop. It's basically what you guys have behind you right now. It's very professional. They're probably wearing a suit. Like they're like, hey, or they're walking into a mansion or behind a jet that they've never even been inside of before and just being like, oh, like this is awesome. So if it's just you chilling out, smoking a cigar next to someone, like I think that's really awesome. A guy that you should all go look at, his name is Ryan Daniel Moran from capitalism.com. Good friend. He is an awesome guy. He does his live videos. He's sitting with his daughter on his couch and he's like just talking and like it's just really amazing. So I'm just a fan of Dennis and what Dana says from the content perspective of bringing people in. The only thing that I might disagree with is it's not what people would find interesting. It's what you think is interesting about yourself. And then because if you're trying to acclimate to a tribe, no one can create a tribe of any kind if there's no foundation. It's like dating someone who doesn't know who they are, right? Like there's no foundation. It's bad. It's fake. There's no depth. It's like you'll never get anywhere. That's like actually how all my relationships have gone. Anyway, what I mean is like what I would look at is literally just like what's interesting about you. We were talking about if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, talking about that. You like cigars. You like alcohol. You like doing yoga. Start bring your fucking phone out when you're doing yoga on a mat in the park and just do both. Like I don't even know. Like let's say you're obsessed with cooking. Let's say you're obsessed with cooking. You're like vegan keto cooking, and you just when you're cooking, you go and talk about it. As much as I hate with every bone in my body, AOC, Alexandra, can't pronounce her name, Cortez. She's like the lowest of the low of human beings ever. She actually does a great job on her Instagram lives. She's just being herself. She's cooking when she's building her IKEA desk. She's like, oh, I'm building this desk. I just thought I would hop on and talk to you guys. She lets people into her life. The problem is she's so good at faking it. It seems like it's real because if she actually let them into her life, they'd find out that she's a crook and a phony. But it's real. It feels really real when you watch it. So I wouldn't urge you to go follow her, but I would urge you to go Google examples of her Instagram lives or something like that. She does a really excellent job.
So I got to tell you two things. Or I have one question and I got to tell you something. When I wear red lipstick, people
I know.
the time stop me and they're like, you look like AOC. I'm like,
that. By the way, that's a compliment. They're not telling you you're as smart as her, because then that's not a compliment. You're way smarter than her. What they're saying is you look like her. Which, by the way,
yes, I get it all the time. Even we put out Facebook ads where I have red lipstick and people are like, oh, you chose AOC as your model? No, man.
By the way, 90% of the reason anyone listens to her is because she's pretty. So yeah. That's a compliment, because what she's saying is so stupid. So that means if you're the one who's pretty and you're actually saying smart stuff, that means you're going to win more. So this is all good news.
So here's my next thing. So would you say that the younger generation has a super heightened BS meter? Do they not like that inauthentic way of selling or promoting?
So it's not, it depends on how you make it feel, right? Because there's promoting and then there's letting someone in. And then there's letting someone in and promoting. So for instance, someone takes a video on a jet, like Uncle Grant, Uncle G, it's that's the dude's plane. He's literally on his own plane and he's talking about and he's always promoting. But that's inherent to his existence. That's just who he is. So it doesn't feel like he's pushing something on you because you know what to expect there. So for me, it's about how you set the table and what's actually happening. The BS meter is really high and people will be able to tell. It's just about, it's a great question and it matters a lot. But what we should be saying instead of even asking it is just like, hey, let's not even worry about the BS meter because it won't matter as long as you stay inherent to things you care about and what you care about, right? Because to be honest with you, there's people who've seen me speak. There's people who've met me who have opinions of me that, like, anyone who actually knows me, it just isn't true. So their BS meter for me is through the roof when the reality of the situation is like they were just wrong. So the BS meter is just like different for everyone. So like I used to care a lot about it for like my clients and stuff of like, hey, we need to make sure we're doing the right thing here. And I mean, we were doing a shoot for Sprint one time and one of the influencers didn't want to change out of their red swim trunks. And the Tracy, the VP at Sprint, was like, well, no, we need them to wear yellow ones. I said, no. I said, that's fucking stupid. They want to wear red swim trunks. Like, it's not going to matter. Like, yellow swim trunks, they think they look ugly in, right? Like, why would you want them to do something that they wouldn't normally do? So my views on that are very, very different, but I just think that doesn't even matter because people will always, like, you'll never be able to win. You're like, if you think about like, hey, don't get me wrong, like, this is why I surround myself with the people that I do, because they'll pull me aside and check me and be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? So you already have those people in your life, so you don't need your audience to be that person. You already know, especially if you're letting people in. It's like people who know you are going to love that shit because that's just who you are.
So Connor, for everybody that's watching, Connor's going to be speaking at summer camp. So you better have your summer camp tickets. Everybody's loving it. Great comments. Everybody wants to hang out with you. Are you going to come to the after party at summer camp and hang out?
Dude, yeah, I am. What are the dates again? It's August, right?
August 7th and 8th.
I'm 100%. I mean, obviously, like, it's blocked off somewhere. No one's doing shit in August right now, especially with this stupid Wuhan virus. But I'm very, very, very excited. I will definitely be there. I'm gonna be honest. Like, normally when I speak, like, I don't like the other speakers because I'm like, they're all whack and stupid. But this is a conference that I actually want to listen to the other people. So I'm actually going to stay for the whole time. I wish Tucker Max was speaking just so I could make fun of him during Q&A this time. But yeah, no, like, I'm very, very excited. Name off some of the speakers. Me, Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort, E.T., Mark Mastrandrea.
Who?
Mark.
Mark. Yeah, I'll make fun of Mark then. That's fine. Okay.
Chris Winfield, Jen Gottlieb.
Oh my God, they're great. Yeah, no, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And here's what's cool. Here's what's cool is, like, they all actually know their shit. Like it's not, like, that's all I'll say. But like, all these people, like, they actually know what they're talking about. I would like, if you haven't gotten it yet, you need to go and do that. So can we do? Brew is sponsoring the after party because I haven't.
Are we gonna have some ready?
Yeah, so I didn't even tell you guys this yet. So because this actually happened on Friday, even after I sent you guys the update I sent to everyone. But we're doing a run of 1,500 cases on June 1st, and beer's good for 7 months without getting sick as long as it's refrigerated. So like we're gonna have, and by the way, the run. Oh my gosh, wait, because our run for 25,000 cases starts August 1st. So I might actually have the fresh stuff in the new sleeves for the thing. And we're going to be playing beer pong, Billy Chow, calling you out. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right,
love it.
Let's end with this because you and I've never run this down. So let's see if this goes super sideways. So I was sitting one day, just sitting in a restaurant, and I got a DM from the shoe kid. And like, what is the shoe kid guy? And so I look at it, and he had the blue check mark, and we talk about this, the blue check mark effect. So I look at it, and everybody's like, dude, that's the shoe guy. And he is asking me if I knew you. I was like,
He's a joke.
Like literally, I just saw him. So what did he mess that up in his outreach or?
Listen,
about that.
That kid, here's what I'm going to say. He is, first of all, his dad's a billionaire in Miami. He's built nothing himself. His dad's the one who introduced him to DJ Khaled. He's fake. He's fraudulent. He's like how I view AOC. He's mad that I didn't do something for him for nothing. And then when I had someone actually do it for him, he wouldn't pay them. So I called everyone he knew and I said, yo, you need to call your boy because he just screwed up $15,000 for me when I stuck my neck out for him. He was pissed I did that. So so that's why he DM'd you and like 3 other people being like, screw. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, luckily I have amazing relationships with people and they really like me. So it didn't matter. But like, damn, I hate that kid. I really hate that kid. So if anyone follows him, go and unfollow him because oh my
so
Lord.
far, I think most people listening feel like you're a very good judge of character with your. So we're gonna.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've gotten into bed with some. What'd you say?
But minus your past relationships, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. But all I'm saying is that I've made my mistakes in terms of like getting in bed with wrong people. Not talking about sex, talking about like just doing bad deals or bad stuff. Probably gotten into bed with some wrong people too. But just like the deals that I've done too, and like I'm only 20 and I've made like a shit ton of mistakes so far, and they're only going to get worse. But I think about it as like at some point I'm gonna like the house will fall. Like I'm still gonna mess up a lot of stuff. But by the time I'm 30. I will have made all the mistakes. Like I'm not all of them, but like a large percentage of them, like I will have cleansed out of my system. And I'll still be surrounded like amazing people like you guys that I can call and be like, hey, like, is this something I should do? Like, is this, and just like really ask questions. Like, it's the same reason why you guys work with like Jabraham and like amazing people like that. Like I try to do that too. And that's why things like BDC, that's why things like this matter, because it helps shorten your learning curve and helps speed it up. But the problem is when you shorten your learning curve, you start to growth and accelerate it so fast. And when you accelerate growth so fast, sometimes it's hard to handle. And me, when I'm 18, making 400 grand a year and all this shit, and then clout, and then all the stuff, and then family and like friends, and like, then like it's hard. And I used to not think it was hard, and I used to make fun of the Disney stars who used to crash and burn. I'm like, they're just stupid. Like, no, like it's a really, really real thing. So I'm grateful for you guys, grateful for this. I'm excited to see all of you in August, and I'm gonna help you guys get some more cool people in here to do some lives and stuff like that.
Love it. All right, I know your dinner's out, probably lunch in your case is probably out in the front. Friday night, let you get to those White Claws, and we're not believing for a second that you're actually staying in. So you probably got somewhere to go because of social distancing, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm having a party tonight. This whole social distancing thing is like bullshit. Like it really is. Like, and I say bullshit in terms of like, if someone has autoimmune issues or is like pre-existing conditions or like very old, then like stay the fuck away from them. But like I'm saying in all the cases in New York, right? All the cases in New York, under 64 years old, there's 3 people who had non-pre-existing conditions that died. Out of like there's more. I'm gonna go off, but like it's just, if you're a young person and you don't have pre-existing conditions, stay away from old people and do whatever you want, because this thing, SARS, like the influenza, way worse. Whatever, as long as you have healthy lungs, don't have asthma, just I won't come around you. And I haven't. I've stayed here. I've been going to my friends' houses. Like, DeWine, the governor of Ohio, is an idiot. I can't handle this anymore. So yeah, I'm excited. The economy, it looks like it's going to reopen on May 1st, exactly how I predicted and thought. I said by the middle of May, things will be rock and rolling. By Memorial Day would be good. And June 1st, everyone will forget the coronavirus happened, because the attention span of America is literally like a fish. So do you know people forget that Kobe Bryant died? That happened like a month ago. Like that's fucked. Like that's how quick we move on from stuff. And that, I cried. I literally cried in my dad's living room. Like that to me was like Mamba mentality. Like I had it written on my ceiling when I was little. Like that, like, we already forgot about that. America moved past that. That's messed up. It's really messed up. So yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. I will let you go. If anyone needs anything or has any questions or further explanation, my email is just blakelycon@gmail.com. But if you're going to complain about anything I said about AOC or whatever, and you're offended, then don't fucking talk to me. So yeah.
Awesome, Connor.
We love you, Connor.
We love you.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.